tenant attorney and an expert in that area, thank you, because every week I get a call as a non-expert on this area about the landlord is not fixing, it's bugs on the ground and it's roaches here every day and I don't know why I still have to pay them rent. Just give us an overview of some of the things that people should know, especially, let's say for instance, in instances where they have a landlord that is not doing what they're supposed to do.
Sure. So I get this question a lot about withholding rent and repairs. So legally, landlords are required to comply with the housing, building, and health codes. If there aren't any of those, they are required to make repairs on roofs, windows, doors, floors, steps, and porches. They are also required to provide pest control for rats, mice, roaches, ants, and bed bugs. They also are required to provide reasonable provisions for running water, hot water, heating during the winter, as well as garbage removal. If the landlord does not provide any of these things or are not making repairs, the way that you could resolve this is ultimately is to provide a notice, a 7-day notice to the landlord indicating that, describing the repairs that need to be completed and indicating that if these repairs are not completed within 7 days, you intend to withhold rent and ultimately terminate your residence at that particular, your tenancy at that particular residence. If they do not repair it within 7 days, you are legally required, you are legally allowed to withhold rent. It's more than likely, if they do not make the repairs within a month or in a reasonable time, you are then legally entitled to terminate the lease and move somewhere else. The landlord will likely file a civil action against you for damages, but if you file that notice, if you provide them with that notice, you have a legal defense to any damage action that they file.
And just to kind of piggyback on that, so you say, hey, the AC unit, as you speak of heating and air, is not working. This is a 2-level place, a split level home. Gosh, a split level home. And it's hot upstairs. Like, my kids can't sleep in this heat in the middle of Tallahassee summer. And they say, oh, okay, that's fine, and go and get a little baby AC unit from Home Depot and put it in the window downstairs and say, listen, be blessed. It's cooler. What does one do? And I'm laughing about it, but I've heard situations like this where people are just, it's like, you know that wasn't a resolution to the problem. You know that you wouldn't allow your kids to sleep in that type of environment. What does one do when you have a lot of landlords who are, I don't want to say some landlords, but I said it, who just will not do the right thing by their tenants, and people are in places where they don't have the money to continue to move all over the city. So
I would say in that particular situation, the most important thing to do would be to file a complaint with the Housing Code Enforcement. They will come out and inspect the home, determine what issues need to be resolved, and the landlord will be required to can resolve those issues within a timely manner, or they will be filed. That just gives them the extra they need typically, because they know that they can be fined and face other penalties if they do not.
Okay. One more question.
Excuse me. Earlier you said the landlords, by housing, the ordinance, they are required to provide heat.
Yes.
Are they required to provide air conditioning?
They are not required to provide air conditioning, and they're only required to provide heat during the winter. So if your heater is not working in the summer, spring, fall.
And also on the 7-day notice, if they do try to evict you, then you come to the clerk of court and you file your 7-day notice with that, and you put your disputed amount of rent in the registry. So now they can't charge you late fees. They don't have the money, you give it to the courts. So they want to get their money, so they might rectify the situation or they might not. But don't just get the 7-day notice. When they file the eviction, you need to file that 7-day notice in that eviction case, in the money.
That's from the clerk of the court's office. Thank you, Keith, for that. Because this is very important. I mean, like I said, I'm not joking when I say someone calls me every week with some situation where I'm leading them to the resources that you guys have provided. And we're going to open Q&A up. Keith just took his point of personal privilege to insert itself, but we will answer. And please jot down your questions if I did not say that earlier, so that you'll be able to ask the experts directly. But I want to switch that up a little bit. Some people own rental units, and some people have horrible tenants. Ask me how. No, just kidding. Where people don't do the right thing, you know, they don't want to pay their rent, they don't want to keep the upkeep of the property, and a lot of times we talk about landlord-tenant, really in the defense of the tenant is we should, but there are some landlords that are equally abused by some tenants that don't want to do the right things. Is there anything in particular you'd like to share about what landlords should know?
Sure. Essentially, in regards to non-payment of rent, if the tenant is not paying rent, you have to provide them with a 3-day notice to either pay rent or vacate the property. If they do not vacate the property, you can then file an action for eviction. If there is a lease, if there's not a lease, either written or oral, then you would have to file some type of action, typically an unlawful detainer or something of that nature, to evict them from the property.
No, that was it. You covered it. I just wanted to make sure that I was fair. You covered landlords and tenants. If you could pass the mic on to Attorney Williams. Good morning.